Hey guys, JH. Welcome to the practice tee. Another hot one here in Oz. We've just had this 10th or 12th day in a row where we've had like 35 degrees C. It's just brutal. Late in the day now, it's about 6:30. But it's still, 32, 33 degrees. It's just brutal. Okay, guys, a couple of things. For people that want to make channel lock easy to apply the club to the ball and not have any variables in the swing. And variables, guys, are, well, one of the main variables is change of plane. I've always swung the club with every golf swing I've ever had, with very little plane change. And that's because I have a standard thing in my golf swing. And that is, when I take my backswing, I pressure down on the club head. I push my hands down. I call it pressure planing or pressure loading in the backswing. And by pressure loading, I mean I'm actually pushing my hands down, pushing the grip down and pushing the head of the club down the entire way through the backswing. I don't get to a point where when I take, oh, it's beautiful as the breeze comes. Oh, some relief. And that's the other thing, there's been no breeze here, guys. 35 degrees and no breeze. It's usually hurricane force here. So, yeah, when I take the club back in the backswing, I pressure it down. I actually feel like the club is wanting to push into the ground and that my hands or my knuckles want to skin the ground. That's the feeling I have. And I've always had that in my golf swing. It's always been a pressure down type process. And I call that pressure loading, because what happens is I pressure it, and even when I get to here I'm still pushing down, and it's only the turn of my shoulders that's elevating the golf club, clearly. I mean, if I get to here and I do nothing else but turn my shoulders, the club will elevate. But then there's a point in the golf swing that if you didn't do anything with your hands, you didn't do anything and you turned your shoulders, the club would still be here. Now, nobody swings a club like that. And I said that to David Ledbetter once, years ago, because I said, well, what are you advocating in terms of, he said, the shoulders. Absolutely, just turn the shoulders and they will take the club back and put it in position on the backswing. Don't do anything with your hands or your arms. I said, how do you get the club to the top from about here? He said, what do you mean? And I did this. I went, okay, there's a 90-degree shoulder turn. How do I get the club to the top of the swing from there? And he just said, well, there is some elevation in the hand action. So there's a lot of claptrap out there, guys. I mean, David's a great teacher, but I mean, it's perception, what people think happened compared to reality. The reality is just so different. Frankly, if you could actually swing the club like that, back here, and from that low base, generate speed that you would never miss a shot, because you'd never be off plane. You would never be off plane. The club would stay on plane forever. But you can't generate enough speed from that low base here. Here. That's why you'll never hit a pitch shot. If you take a club back to here and hit a shot, you don't hit it very far, do you? You can't develop velocity because the club is simply not travelling far enough. So what I'm saying is that what I do is I pressure down to a point here. I keep pressuring down as a feel, but then there's some element of hinging and cocking in the golf swing to get it to the top clearly. Excuse me. Yeah, that has to happen in any golf swing. So for people who are what I call, float loaders, I'm actually a gravity loader. I feel that there's gravity acting on the golf club all the way through the backswing. I'm not trying to work against the gravity. I'm letting gravity have its way, just pulling it down all the time. But a lot of people will get to here and then, they just completely overcome gravity here, and then they just float. They just float the club to the top of the swing. They just float loaded. That's what they do, guys. But to describe a really consistent arc, you really need pressure down on those hands and arms for a major portion of the backswing. You really do that. Because if you come into here and you're bringing those arms up here, if you're letting them come up too early, you really lost the scribing of that arc in the backswing. Every golf swing's got an arc. Even channel lock. Channel lock's going here, but it's still got an arc. Well, it's still got a radius. Should talk about radius rather than an arc. And you don't want to alter the radius too much. So all I'm saying, guys, is pressure down in the backswing. When you take it back, just feel a pressure down here. As long as you can. Even when you get to here, keep pressuring down. As you take it back and you're hinging, keep the pressure in the butt part of the wrist, pressuring down. Still keep that happening. Just make that happen still in the golf swing. Because that stops flyaway. You'll see a lot of guys, the club players and rank and file players. They get to here and then the body stops and it's just a lift and the arms just go here. No coil, no extension, no radius, nothing. And then from here they've got nothing to start the downswing. Now my swing is loaded with torque. It's a very tight golf swing. It's always been a tight golf swing. Lots of loading in it. And that's a benefit, because when you've got a lot of loading, you've got a lot of reactive lead side reaction in the downswing to start the downswing. No matter what happens in any golf swing, guys, the lead side something in the lead side has to start the downswing. You can't start it with the trail side. Something in any golf swing, like Nicholas was here, Bobby Jones, they went like that. Mo Norman never lifted his feet, so his knee went like that. Nick Faldo was exactly the same. Nick Faldo went to here, and to start his downswing it was a radial turn of the lead knee. You've got to have something to unload the torque and the spring wound up effect that you have in a good coiled up golf swing. So, how do we get pressure down? To get a feeling? The way to get a feeling, guys, I just had a drink before I came on camera and it went down sideways. I feel like I've swallowed the container. So how do we get pressure down? Well, guys, what I do as a feeling is I actually counter rotate my forearms. Clockwise, counterclockwise. I actually pressure it this way, going back. So that feels like a shut to shut to shut action. But it's not super extreme. It's not like I'm going to turn this club inside out on the backswing. It's just pressuring the forearms here in the backswing. Now what that does, of course, as soon as you go straight line and you pressure it, the club face is not opening. Now just to get the feeling of that, just pressure down. You may not, a lot of players, I played with that my whole life because I'm a hinger. I pressure down, keep the face looking at the ball, and I hinge my wrists. I don't roll the club open and cock my wrists up. But for people who do, that might be hard, and that might feel like you're taking all the loft off the golf club. But to get the feeling, just get a wedge or a sand iron or something, and just take the club like that, with coil in the body here, and feel it, and you'll get back to here and say, hey, that club's looking straight at the ball. Hello, that's what we wanted to do. Now it's not going to be as extreme as I demonstrate here, because in any golf swing there's a lot more art than that. Even a channel lock golf swing where we say we want to go here, that's the intention. And the more intention we have to do that, the more we will eliminate the side to side in a golf swing, which is what channel lock's designed to do. We don't want any side to side in the channel lock golf swing. So just get a sand iron. And for people who are having trouble, and this will be a dual information video, for people who want to be really proficient with channel lock pitching of the ball. What you want to do, guys, really, is try and make the action an arm ball. And what's an arm ball? An arm ball is basically the arms staying and the club staying in line with the arms as long as you can in the backswing and into the delivery zone and through the ball. This is an arm ball. That's an arm ball. That's an arm ball. Martinez calls that shoveling. My buddy Martinez, haven't seen him for ages. Must catch up this year. We both had good intentions during this year, but we didn't make it. Marty and I spent hundreds of hours on the practice tee, doing amazing stuff and funny stuff, and it was good times. And you spend a day with Marty, and guys, you'll get some insight into the golf swing you won't get from anybody else. I mean, he has a perspective on a golf swing like nobody else. And I think one day it's going to be a frontline method, the Martinez most powerful move in golf, or DOCF. So here, guys, so for people who have trouble pitching the ball, and in channel lock I play it back here. I play it back here, and I do shovel it because I don't want to get back here and then lift the club up and cock it, because I've then got to get back. I've then got to get back and get rid of that amount of cock that I put into the shot for a little pitch. What you need to do is keep the arms straight, keep the shaft in line, and just move the arms. It's the range of motion in the arms that will give you the distance differential that you want in each shot. You don't, like if you've got a little 35-yard shot, pitch, 40-yard pitch shot, it's very hard to have this amount of wrist cock and then come down and unload that wrist cock and do that consistently. But it's really easy to just move your arms a certain distance, like this. And we're talking about 35. I mean, that's carried about 35. Like between 33 and 35. Now that's very easy to do. That's repeatable. That's very repeatable. You don't want this. You don't want here, up, and then down here, and then snap load it, and get in here. Get too much lead on the handle for a little pitch shot. You just want to take it back here, arm ball it. And I used to say to people who are abysmal pitchers of the ball, I say, I know why you're a terrible pitcher of the ball. Well, I never called any of my students terrible. So I know why you're not optimum with your pitching. And they say, why? So it actually is the why. It's the why you set at address, and then the why that you deconstruct. And the why is this. Here, guys. There's our why. All you have to do is keep that why there. That's the why of pitching the ball, of arm balling. That's the why. Just keep the why in place. Don't get back here and break the why. As soon as you take the tail out of the why, you haven't got a why anymore. But when you're doing this, it's going to feel very rigid and very mechanical, and very, rigid and stilted. And what you can fall into is that you can get that going too much, and you can do this. You can come in with the face wide open and the heel leading, and you can hit a Thomas the Tank. Now, in every golf shot, you have to release the club head. And even on a little shot like this, even though we're feeling that the shot is Y, straight line, arm ball, arm ball, arm ball. It's called an arm ball, guys, because there's only the arms really activating the shot and creating the ball to move. Everything else is contained. So if you're going to do that, if you take the club back with an arm ball, even on a shot like that, you've still got to release the golf club. So we've still got to have our smear factor in channel lock on a little pitch shot like this. I mean, it won't be a wrap over smear. It'll just be that. See how the arms are still in line? But I've released the golf club. But if I turn around, and there, look, it's dead straight. We don't want to come in like that and do that. Now when I turn around, look, the club face is open, and I've led into the ball with the heel. Now that can happen in the big swing as well. So if you're trying to keep the club on plane in the big swing, and you're feeling very much sort of an arm ball and setting the swing in the back, in the backswing, like guys like Steve Stricker. You know why Steve Stricker adopted that basically no risk golf swing? Because he was going to retire. He couldn't break 80. He was almost ready to walk off the tour. And guys, he was ready to walk away. He couldn't play because he was like this. He was a terrible pitcher of the golf ball, and snap hooker with the driver, everything. He just used to cock the club off the ball, and he couldn't control it. And it got so bad that he couldn't play. And someone, I don't know who it was, but someone just said, okay, well, clearly the problem in your golf swing is the excessive wrist cocking, so we're going to take that out. And that's how Steve Stricker plays. He just took it out of his game. He never thinks about cocking his wrists. He basically feels like this is his golf swing. And he looks like that. But you don't want to do that, because that's heel leading. You want to have the arm ball, but you want to have the release. You want to have the little bit of smear here. There. Even on a little shot with an arm ball. See, the arms are still straight, but I've released it. You never ever want to lose sight of the fact of releasing the golf club, ever. So just a little arm ball. See the club, guys? Fully released. Actually a little bit of toe over. But straight line it. And what you'll feel is you'll feel a lot of load on the golf club. And the distance then just becomes not how hard am I going to hit it, which you have to think about if you cock your wrists, load some some storage into a golf shop by loading your wrist, you've got to think how hard or not hard do I hit the ball. But with an arm ball, you don't have to do that. All you think about is how far do I take my arms back? And that'll come with practice. Say you want to practice, you want to hit it, 25. There's a 25er. You just take the arms back further, or not back further, or not as far back. So it's a very, and for good players, they know what an arm ball is. But rank and file and club players, I'm not saying any of you guys are not good players, but most of my videos, guys, are for the rank and file players, and but even good players. I played with some good players over the years that were terrible pitchers of the golf ball because they're very wristy. Greg Norman had it in the early days. He was a snap loader until he learned to get rid of that snap loading, and I'm sure David Graham helped him out there, because David Graham, just the most beautiful arm ball pitcher you've ever seen in your life. And Greg used to snap load it, and he used to get so much spin on the ball, and he used to come back, and it cost him tournaments in the early days. So once he learned to arm ball it, he could control the spin and the distance, because he used to just fly it up to the flag and past the flag and then spin it off the green. I saw him in New South Wales one day, drag a ball back 70 feet, hit beside the flag and spun off the front of the green, 70 feet, with a wedge. It was a full wedge, but if he'd have got maybe, took out a 9-iron and arm balled it in there, you can just float it in. Mo Norman was the best. Mo Norman, the best arm ball you've ever seen. Just. So that's what it's about, guys. You want to eliminate this. This is very hard to repeat. I mean, I've never done that anyway. And when I take that up, then, well, how much do I unload it? Feels out of control. So that's for the guys that want to use channel lock with pitching. Now for one of the guys, he asked me today about, he said, I can't remember, was it George? Might have been George or Ray. I think it might have been George. Said that he's hitting a really hard, 10-yard draw, that he can play with it. But he'd like to get that down, and he's just wondering, when I say you've got to get the smear going from the top of the swing very early here, I get it going early from the top of the swing. But for George or Ray, and I can't remember who it was, guys, because in the course of one day I'll get 120 emails from lots of guys outside the channel. If you're moving the ball excessively with channel lock, and the standard shot is a little draw or a little baby push. If you're moving it too much, just work on opening the face a little bit. If it's moving 10 yards, just open the face a bit at address. Or if it's starting, as I said the other day, if it's starting too early in the flight, going out for your right hand, if it's going out to the right too early and too severe, just bring it up a little bit. Because guys, the ball, as we start down in any golf swing, say if the ball was back there, the club would be travelling straight out there. It goes from there to there to there to there. So for George or Ray, I think it was George, it might have been Ray. Anyway, guys, it's okay for both of you. The smear, I wouldn't change that. I get it going very early. I actually feel like that's my smear there. It's lead hand down, trail hand, smearing. And I do that early, because if I don't do it early, I don't do it. I've got to think about it very early. And that also gets the butt of the club moving this way. Back in towards me, here, rather than that. I don't want that. Don't want the butt of the club going there. Yeah, so if you've got an excess, it's either ball position or just too much shut down on the club face. Just open the face. Just open the face, keep opening it incrementally till you take the draw off. Because the draw only happens, guys, into out, path, across the target line with a closed club face. And the more the club face is closed, and depending on where the ball is, the more it'll start right early or later, and the amount of draw is purely and simply dependent on the amount of club face closure you've got and the angle of the path into the ball. That's just ball flight laws. So for Ray and George, just try that. I would say there's a couple of things in this video today, but to get the feeling of arm balling and for pressuring down, just get a sand iron or a wedge or something and just hit a couple of shots like that. Now there's a lot of pressure down in that backswing there, and it's the same amount of pressure that I feel in my full swing. I feel that. I never feel this happen in my golf swing, ever. I always keep pressure, and it's usually the turn that takes the club up. Okay, there's a bit of voluntary lift in every golf swing. As I said before, if we turned the shoulders back here and we didn't, see I've turned the shoulders 90 degrees, how do I get the club up to the top? I've got to lift it to a degree. You just have to do that. Okay guys, that's just some explanation today on, and I call that pressure loading or gravity assist loading. I never give up gravity in the backswing. Get here, feel that gravity is pulling the club down, or you're pushing it down, helping gravity as much as you can in the backswing. That'll give you a nice wide here, and then good load, good back load from here. You can go back here and have a late loading, and then we can do our ice cream scoop or Bill Phillips's MMI cheese scoop, our back scoop here. Very hard to back scoop if you've pulled the club into here like this, guys. Very hard to do that. Very hard to, if you go here and then you just pull it in here and collapse, very hard to back scoop it. But if you've gone back with pressure down or gravity loading in the backswing here you can go there, and then you can get your smear going early. There. Okay guys, I hope those points helped. They're always little bits, and these will be little bits that'll be there all the time, and I'll just keep throwing those in from time to time. Okay, beautiful here now guys. Looks like a big storm coming, but beautiful.